one day I hope, because I'm interviewing a lot of celebrities right now. Like, I'm just checking off my bucket list with all the celebrities I've been interviewing, and I'm like, if I don't get Justin, I'm gonna be pissed.
Do you hear his beats?
I was very, how do I put it? Talkative. You know, I was the kid at school that talked too much. It was very, you know, loud. I was always a part of things. Yeah. Always wanted to be the center of attention. I think smart. I know I was smart. Yeah, I think that's what I was like as a kid. I grew up in a traditional household, but I was also born here, so I had the best of both worlds. So nothing was ever like a shock to me. Like, I know, and all my friends, like growing up, my friends were not African, so I also knew about their culture too. I'm not judgmental, so if that's how they are, that's how they are. And the same thing in my household. Like, even like if I have friends from like other religions and other cultures, my dad always encouraged me to still learn about other, you know, religions and cultures and stuff. That doesn't mean, you know, it's just like, ooh, like I can't be that or, you know, be around that. You know, at the end of the day, those are my friends, and you can't just, you know, want to stick to one thing or just know. You gotta be knowledgeable. But it wasn't really a culture shock. Maybe it could be a culture shock for someone who wasn't born here. Like maybe my older brothers, they weren't born here, so they will probably like really attest to that. But it wasn't a culture shock to me because I grew up here and I already knew, you know. So I definitely do think that me being I was born here and coming from immigrant parents, I definitely have to, you know, showcase my culture, me being African and my background a lot more, because like I feel like I don't want how do I put it, the cultural practices to stop like with me. You get what I'm saying? So I do need to do a better job at like, you know, embracing my culture, which I feel like I'm doing now. And I always have. Like I'm you know, I've had the struggle for me is that I grew up with non-Africans and like non-Guineans. I'm from Guinea, so I grew up with people who weren't from my culture, so it was kind of difficult for me to kind of like, you know, embrace that. It was just, it's like I deal with it in my household, and then when I go outside, it's like, you know, it's a whole new world. You get what I'm saying? So I used to, growing up, when I was in high school, you know, Justin Bieber, I was like one of those girls that had Bieber fever. I used to cut high school. I used to go to like every single show he had in New York. I was there. I used to camp outside. I went to every meet and greet. Like, he even knew me, and like I had like a few friends out there that I met, and like they would give me tickets. We flew out to Miami. His manager knew me, Scooter Braun at the time. We used to chase his car. It was like, you know, that era, Bieber fever. Yes. So I was one of those girls, and from there I always ran into, you know, celebrities, and like we would go to talk shows and stuff like that. That he was really the reason. That's like me being in that scene was the reason why I was so interested in wanting to be in media, which is really crazy. And then I also grew up watching Oprah with my mom, so all of that like kind of sparked my decision to be a journalist. And that was, you know, between middle school and then high school, between then. This is so crazy. When I did a job interview the other day, the person asked me who's my favorite writer, and I'm like, that's crazy. I never thought of that. I know like who's my favorite like people on air, like Anderson Cooper, Gayle King, Oprah, you know, Wendy Williams. And she was like, So that means like you just really want to be on air. You don't want to be a writer. Like, you know, I'm like, I am a writer, but I just never really thought of that, you know. But I like Elliott Wilson. You know who Elliott Wilson is, right? He started off as a writer.
Of course I know.
Yeah. I like him. Yeah, I really have to go home and do my research on who's my favorite writer. If I even have one. I don't think so. I really enjoy working at BET right now because I've been able to interview so many different people. I can pitch what I want, you know, and they give me the opportunity, like even if they don't know the artist, like they just, you know, they still give me the opportunity to do me. So, and I just love like the black culture, you know. I always have harsh critiques of myself, even now. So whatever I'm critiquing, I probably would do the same thing now. Like, I hate hearing myself talk. Sometimes like I will write something now, and like in a few months I'll go back to the article like, damn, I need to change this word up, you know, even though like it's been out in months. Like, get what I'm saying? That's how I am, regardless. That's how I've always been, you know. So it's not really, if I look at an article that I wrote years ago, my first article, now I'll probably be like, girl, like, really? You know, you could have said this a different way. You could have added more information. You could have did more research. You get what I'm saying? So, but then again, it wouldn't be published if it wasn't good enough. You see? So
Look at
op-eds, I don't want to take that out because if I open my mouth and speak, yeah, I always got a lot to say, but I'd rather just be strictly just reporting the facts, not my opinion. I would prefer interviews, like on-air interviews, because that's really what I originally wanted to do when I started journalism. But you know, I still love writing, so I feel like even if I venture out of journalism, right, I'll still do, if I want to do something else, because I still feel like I'm made to do more in this world. If I do something else, I'm still gonna write, like maybe write a book, or, you know, I'll still write. Okay, so my podcast Afrobeats Takeover is under my media company, Oumou Media. I renamed it What's Relevant TV to Oumou Media. I wanted to do a Afrobeats podcast because I felt like, you know, I'm African, and my goal is to really put us on the map. You know, Afrobeats is going global right now, and just not music, you know, our food, like what we wear, our talents, dance, like everything right now, you know. And everywhere that I've worked at, I was always like, you know, the only African journalist, or the only one who really cared about putting us on the map. So I would work for like these publications, like hip hop, R&B, pop publications, and I always try to make sure like I'm gonna like write an article about this African artist, or, you know, interview this African artist and stuff. I'll make my way, and, you know, people seen that. So I felt like if I'm gonna do that and it was kind of also difficult for me to try to put them there and be like, who is this person? Or, you know, they would just give me the runaround, and I felt like we just need our own thing, you know. So I'm like, if I'm able to interview these people for these other publications, why don't I interview them myself for my own publication? So I started Afrobeats podcast, where like I would just interview artists of any, it don't have to be musical artists. If you're an African creator, I'll just, you know, interview you. Just not too crazy. So, well, I'm not a designer. My love for fashion started in maybe middle school or high school, one of those things. I was always wearing stuff that like didn't make sense. Like, girl, what are you wearing? You know, if I look at like my past like photos in high school and stuff, my friends would just be like, girl, what were you wearing? And I'm like, back then you wasn't asking me what was I wearing, but I like to be different, you know, especially when it comes to clothes and hair and nails. Like, I'm always like long nails, diamonds, and, you know, change my hair every week. If I look like you, then I'm doing something wrong. You know, if you like my outfit, then I'm doing something wrong. You know, I always wanted to stand out since I was young. So when it comes to fashion, since I was always taking like different clothes and putting it together, I'm like, why don't I just start my own brand, you know, and put it together and sell it? Yeah. I'm a big Rihanna fan. I love her sense of style. Cartoons, like TV, anything I see on TV, old school, you know, things we used to wear back then, what our parents used to wear back then. Say, okay, you know what? The best era of fashion, I think we'll say the 2000s, like Y2K. I feel like back then when we were dressing like that, like, we took it for granted, and now people are trying to, you know, dress like that again. So I feel like we can call that the best era of fashion, because it's really popular right now, you know.
Baggy tees, baggy clothes.
Yeah, the fur boots and the mini skirts and, you know, yeah, big hoop earrings. Any fashion icon? Like I said, I'm a big Rihanna fan, so I would want to style her, since she ain't making no music anytime soon. I would want to style her, maybe in some, you know, I want to see her in some African designs, you know, that would be cool. Like some dope African design, like nothing like you've ever seen, like not typical African attire, like, you know, mix it up, throw some leather, throw some, you know, silk, like, you know. So I would love to see her.
Rihanna, you hear that?
To interview Justin Bieber is number one. I want to have my own talk show, like a legit, like, you know, network signs me and then we'll be like, oh, we want to have host your talk show on our network. And as time goes by, I want to own my own network, you know, where I can have other talk shows and other like podcasts and stuff on my network. So it's about who you know these days. So like you really have to build your connections when you want to get into the industry. Any side of the journalism industry, it's really, really about who you know. Like no matter how talented you are, you gotta reach out to people and you know, build connections. Like what I would do is you know, because it was always harder for me to get a job, especially like amongst my white peers and stuff. No matter how talented I was, you know, but I would reach out to people, go, you know, straighten up my LinkedIn, reach out whatever job I wanted to work for. I'll find people who work there on LinkedIn, and I'll just write them like, hey, find something in common, like, hey, we went to the same school, I see you work at this company that I wanted to work for, can we grab some coffee, or can you like take a look at my resume, because I applied for this position and I haven't heard back, blah blah blah. So like, you know, just build connections, go to a lot of networking events, and yeah. And like when I first started out, I got those jobs because the people that I met, like at the New York Post, I went to school with someone who was at the Post, and she like, you know, took my resume from me and gave it to the manager, and yeah. that was that. So most of my jobs were always because of me reaching out, you know, asking. It was not really job applications online. I feel like they don't even be looking at that. So it's either social media, LinkedIn, like I like literally go and get the job myself, you know, especially with the connections I have.
Well, thank you for joining us. Cecile, we appreciate your candor and honesty.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Word is the word.
Hey guys, it's your girl Oumou Fofana. You are tuned into Boulevard Vista. The bird is the word.